The Bargain Bin Gamer would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which this show is created. We extend our respects to elders past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people enjoying this program today.
You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Garfield. Yay. This is the Bargain Bin Gamer. Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of The Bargain Bin Gamer. I'm your host, Davey Willett. My pronouns are he and him, and this is the show where I play the cheapest and absolute shittest games that are out there, so that you don't have to. In today's episode, we're having a look at what happens when a licensed property goes wrong, in a segment I like to call Cash Grab. Kart Racers. They are a dime a dozen. So much so I did an entire episode where I reviewed multiple kart races and immediately demanded that dime back. However, forever a glutton for punishment that I am, I find myself today playing Garfield Kart. Released in November of 2013, developed by Artifact Studio and published by Microids, which sounds like what you might call a small hemorrhoid. Artifact Studios are French developers with quite a few licensed titles under their belts. All of them are just as dated and obscure as Garfield. They include games with Inspector Gadget, Asterix, and Smurfs Kart. Wow, I guess I'll have to try that one next. Now, Garfield is a comic strip that, you probably used to see in the newspapers. It started in 1976. So I have a question for you, Artifact Studios. Who was the target audience for this game in 2013? The mind boggles. Anyway, when I first booted this one up, I immediately thought it looked like another game that originated on the Wii. But no, it started life as a PC game before being ported to the 3DS in 2015. Go figure. It just had that gift a divorced dad gets his kids for Christmas vibe. Garfield Kart is a standard kart racing fare. You have a time trial and a Grand Prix mode, but no multiplayer. Mario and other kart races have been so successful because they have these great friendship-destroying party game elements through the multiplayer in them. If I play this on my own, the only friendship I am destroying is the one that I have with myself, which is already in the toilet. You could choose from either the lasagna-loving Garfield or his owner John to start with, along with some random starting boosters to give you an advantage, like you'd want one. Get the game started and immediately I am taken aback by the lack of controller support. A kart racer just on the keyboard will destroy my already screwed up hands. I am a very old homosexual, and every joint in my body is starting to fail, especially my hands from decades of playing video games. I checked the options menu to see if I could enable it, and all I got was sound volume and language. Thanks, Artifact Games. My cuppa runneth over with these options. Anywho, you have 4 Grand Prix to choose from with fun names like Hamburger and Lasagna Cup. Makes you hungry. Each contains generic and lazy tracks and frame rates that would make most PlayStation 1 games blush. You collect items to give yourself an advantage, rockets to throw at people, lasagna for people to slip on. But it's all just so painful to play. given the keyboard control factor and the fact that the whole thing is just a lazy mess. There were 3 puzzle pieces per track to collect. I could not be asked trying to get them, and I have no idea what they did. The game explains very, very little to you. Winning a Grand Prix unlocks new cups to race. You can also get up to 6 of Garfield's mates, including the dog Odie, and other memorable icons like Arlene, Squeak, and Harry. Not to mention the fact that you can unlock hats for your characters to wear.
Wait, don't be fooled. She's just a regular Malibu Stacy with a stupid cheap hat. She still embodies all the awful stereotypes she did before.
But she's got a new hat.
At the end of the day, I am disappointed in myself for spending money on this shameless cash-grabbing garbage. But that is a feeling I am getting used to, given the topic of my show. This might have been okay on the 3DS as a distraction for younger kids during longer car trips, but they also had the option of Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS. So whatever parents opened up their tight asses to get little Johnny this for his birthday have probably been reported to child services by now. Also, if there was a multiplayer option and controller support, it might have been alright given that it was only $7. Even in 2013, controller support was probably pretty standard. The whole thing just reeks of minimal effort. You have been warned. Garfield Kart is from Artifacts Studio. It costs $7.50 on Steam, although I'm pretty sure I got it on special for under $5. It is definitely not a hidden gem. That's it for this episode of The Bargain Bin Gamer. Don't forget that The Bargain Bin Gamer is a part of a broader network of podcasts called the BQN. You can support this and other BQN programs by becoming a patron at patreon.com/BQN. Remember that if you have some bargain games you'd like me to try, mention it in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're listening to the audio version of this show, please make sure you give a 5-star review. It will help others find the show. So until next time, au revoir.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Mark, Christos, and Kelvin. Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey, a self-proclaimed gamer who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. If you're lost in the Delta Quadrant, check out The Captain's Couch, a Star Trek Voyager podcast hosted by Jeremiah sitting on Janeway's Ready Room couch. Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed but should definitely check out, hosted by Mark, Matt, and Laz. Beam Aboard the Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Amy, Joe, Rhea, and Kevin. History with the Zilagis, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissy and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissy and Thad. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey. Union Federation, covering all things Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Star Trek show. Hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Spill the Tea with What's the Tea, Bev? A Trek current events and fan interview show hosted by Christos. And for our Patreon members, we have The Hive Mind, BQN's monthly roundtable discussion with hosts and listeners. It's Green, a cornucopia of topics hosted by Mark. And Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek, hosted by Amy. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.